Hi guys, it's Joanna, and today's video is going to be another one of my what I'm reading, watching, basically what's good in media type videos. And actually going forward, I've decided that I'm going to be posting this series not on my YouTube anymore, but actually it is probably better suited for Instagram, where it's just a little bit more casual, I guess. I want my YouTube to be more of my like formal videos, and then Instagram can be where I have all of my more casual videos. So if you're not following me over there yet, you can find me at Logic versus Luxury. I do try to be consistent on Instagram, though I'm not the best at it, so work in progress. Okay, but for today anyway, I will be talking here, and you may also have noticed that my background is a little bit different than usual, and that's because I have been on holiday last week, and then this week I'm actually in Toronto, and this is at my mom's place, so this is my bedroom in my mom's house, and I'm working remotely this week here in Toronto, my hometown. Onwards with the content here today. So since I was on vacation last week, I didn't really watch anything. You know, when you're on vacation, TV is not necessarily the main thing that you're doing, but it is a great time to like really engage with books and other forms of media. So last week I read the first book in the Neapolitan novels, My Brilliant Friend. Here is the cover, Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend, book 1 in the Neapolitan novels, which is a 4-book series. Now, this book series has been much lauded over the last few years. I think in 2015 is when it really started picking up steam in terms of being kind of a cultural phenomenon. And I know a lot of you have commented in my previous Booktube videos that I should read this book and the series of books, and I was reluctant for the longest time because of a couple of things. One, it is set in post-World War II Italy, Naples specifically, and that's just not an era of time that I'm necessarily very keen on. Also because of the location, right? I'm you know, I don't have a personal horse in that race, so to speak. So I just was not reluctant. I was more reluctant to kind of get involved in a story that was going to be, you know, 4 books long, that is set in this time and place that I'm not personally invested in. So that was one reason. And then the other reason is just because, I gotta say, a lot of people have also agreed with this, but this cover art is not something that screams highbrow literature. Okay, I'm sorry, but this cover art just screams to me more like, I don't know, something that's more of a throwaway. I'm sorry, I mean, I know this cover art is very gendered. It's obviously appealing to like women, I think, but I don't think it does the book a great service. I think it actually does the book a very big disservice, because it makes you think it's about one thing when really it is this very literary, very astutely written book about this time and place and this patriarchal society of post-World War II Italy. Okay, so that out of the way, what do I think about the actual book? As I said, this book is very literary. It is very well written. The language is very evocative, and yet it's very sparse and direct. There's not a lot of, you know, flowery prose or anything like that. But you are really able to get a sense of that time and place. I mean, I can't describe how it's done. I don't know what it is about it, but she is a very talented writer, Elena Ferrante. So the book is about 2 friends and the society in which they inhabit. So Elena is the main narrator. Incidentally, that is the same name as the author, but it's Elena Greco in the book, and the author's name is a pseudonym, but it's Elena Ferrante. So I think partially you think that this book is potentially somewhat autobiographical just because of the deliberate choice to use the same name for the main character. So Elena is the main character, she is the narrator, and she is describing her life and her relationship with her best friend, Leela, who is the other main character in this book and this series of books. I listened to the book as an audiobook, and I think that really does it a big disservice as well, because there are so many characters. So beyond Elena and Leela, there are so many other characters to just really get a sense of this time and place. And all of them have, you know, these Italian names, and if you're not used to Italian names, you know, you might be confused between, wait, who's that again? And like, wait, who? Like, all of these characters, it was just very confusing to get a sense of when I was listening to the audiobook. So I definitely recommend, if you want to get into this series, I think reading the text will be more beneficial to you. And actually, in listening to the audiobook, basically through the first half, even 2/3, 3/4 of the book, I really was kind of having a hard time getting drawn into the story because of all these crazy names and just my inability to keep everything straight. Nevertheless, I powered on, and by the end I was fully invested in this world and these characters, and I immediately actually then downloaded Booktube to read on my iPad as an ebook. So that goes to tell you that, you know, she is an excellent writer, and if you want to get into this series, you know, prepare maybe that you're not going to be necessarily immediately drawn in, but it's something that you'll grow with and grow to really become involved with. The main thing that kept me going in this book is the relationship between the characters Elena and Leela, and the way the author describes this friendship relationship between these two young girls. And I personally saw a lot of parallels with that relationship and my relationships with friends when I was growing up. In fact, in the book, you know, Elena is describing Leela as this naturally whip-smart, precocious girl whom she is simultaneously best friends with, but also has a strong competitive relationship with. And it's kind of this competition that really compels both girls to kind of keep wanting to one-up one another. And it's sometimes passive-aggressive, it's sometimes directly aggressive, and other times, I don't know, it just rung very true to my own experience growing up and having that relationship with my best friends at the time. Like in particular, I can remember in elementary school there was this girl who was, you know, one of my best friends for sure, and she was always considered the smart one. And I just remember having that sense of like wanting to outdo her in certain ways, but at the same time copying her in a lot of ways, you know. And I think actually in this book the author does a really good job of describing this kind of like copycat nature of young childhood friendships. I mean, it's very funny, and again really rung true to my own experience. The other thing that I found very interesting in this book is just this description of this very patriarchal society, and it's not in your face, and there's a lot of like implied, and sometimes not more than implied, but there's also a lot of implied violence, and yet I wouldn't say that it's a violent book. You know, one of the covers I saw, you know, it had a quote from, you know how on cover jackets they'll say like, you know, various authors will share what they thought about this book, and one of them was someone describing this as Jane Austen if Jane Austen were violent. And in a way it is true. There is a lot of violence. I think it's very true for the time as well, just in this, you know, chauvinistic society, which I also thought was just very interesting to read about, and again get the perspective of these women in this society and how you kind of navigate that. Would I say that this book is for everyone? I don't think so. Again, for me, it took me a while to really get drawn into it. I would still not say that it's something that is going to ever be like one of my favorite books of all time, but I am excited to kind of continue reading the series, and we'll see how the rest of the series goes. I'm also super excited to see this in live action on HBO, because I think you know, just me trying to imagine these characters on the screen is going to be super interesting. I mean, honestly, it's a great read. Not for everyone, so if that sounds like, if everything that I've described so far sounds like it would be up to your alley, definitely check it out. Other than that, I did also just want to quickly touch on a couple of products that I've been using this week while traveling, and first up is this Laura Mercier tinted moisturizer. so it's totally like unrelated to media at all in any way, shape, or form, but I have been loving this. And you know, I recently did that comparison of the No. 7 tinted moisturizer versus the First Aid Beauty one, and I have to say this Laura Mercier one is like the best of both worlds. It is seriously like one of my favorite products right now. It is just like perfect. It has like a little bit more coverage than your typical tinted moisturizer, yet it still feels really light, easy to apply. It gives you a great glowy finish, and it has SPF 20. So I think this is also similarly priced. I believe this is $38, which is the same price as the First Aid Beauty, and I think this is a better product. So, you know, if you're in the market for a tinted moisturizer, this one is my new favorite. Okay, so that's one thing. And then the other thing I've been using a lot of is, speaking of First Aid Beauty, these First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado Concealers, which is a new product of theirs, and I I think this is, it's a really lovely product again. So these two have been like my go-to like face base while I've been on vacation, and this name Bendy Avocado Concealer is totally accurate. It is very bendy insofar as it's very easy to blend in and manipulate on your skin, yet provides really good coverage. I mean, I wouldn't say really good. It's probably like medium level coverage, which is typically what I want. But for example, like these blemishes here have just been annoying, and this Bendy Avocado Concealer has done a really good job of concealing that. So that's one thing. Speaking of blemishes, one more thing I have to shout out to just good old Clearasil Vanishing Acne Cream Treatment, and I have been using this for years and years and years, and I always have a tube handy just because I still get zits in my 30s, and you know, benzoyl peroxide for me personally, for my skin, is the most effective way, and it's a great spot treatment, as well as if you want to do some preventative treatment, I do find like a light coat of this is good for your problem areas. So anyway, just a quick little aside on products that are good. Okay, that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and join me on Instagram for more of these book videos in the future. Bye!